Hi, Sai. How are you?
I'm great, Nathali. Thank you for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
Of course. No, thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited.
So I've gone through your profile. I can see you are doing a lot of work. So I thought to tell about your work to my audience.
Okay, so I do a few of things, right? Like I always say to people, I literally come from a very diverse background, and throughout the years and all the industries that I've been, I carry part of all the industries I have worked with, because I feel like every single industry it really has something to it really has something of value for another industry. But what do I mean by that? So again, as you mentioned, my name is Nathali Cano. I'm a cybersecurity engineer. I have a background in social work because I've been doing social work for about 12 years now. I have a non-profit organization called Grace in Action, which is it's actually in New Jersey here in the United States. And part of what I do, I'm the founder of Grace in Action. It's pretty much my baby. So Grace in Action right now is it's an organization that not only helps families, but also we support individuals with. We have a program that's called Grace on the Street, which is to support individuals that struggle with homelessness and drug addiction. So through this program, I personally run that program because it's very difficult to find people that wants to do this particular part of the program. And I go out, well, we sometimes, I used to have help. Some individual used to help me in the past, but it didn't last long. So if anyone is watching this and it's in New Jersey and you want to help, please help me. Because in this case, what we do, I go out into Newark, which is very, very, there's a high population of homeless individuals with um, there's a lot of drug addiction in those areas. So I go and I give them Narcan kits. Narcan is a medicine that I personally always give the spray. So it's a nasal spray. They spray it when someone is having an opioid related overdose. So if it's heroin or just opioid, this medicine brings them back within 3 minutes. So if someone sees anyone having an overdose or someone passed out or someone literally is just unconscious or is having a seizure, they can put this nasal spray in one of the nostrils, and immediately the person will come back from the overdose. So it saves a lot of lives immediately. So of course, I'm like, you know what? This is crazy. This is amazing. So I take hundreds of those kits and I go out into the community in where there's high concentration of individuals that use drugs. And I go out because, again, part of my background in social work, it was also working at a needle exchange program for almost 7 years. Needle exchange program, that's pretty much what they do. They support individuals that are actively using drugs, with multiple services. So because of my experience and my experience working over there, I gain so much. Like, my heart is really with these individuals. Like, I learned to see them for who they are, and it's because this program that I was saying, they really teach you to see people not because of what they do and the choices they make, but because they're human beings. You see, we might see them as the outcasts of society. We might see them as people that are not really, they're just homeless and drugged. So people don't see them that way, but they're much more than that. They're beautiful people. They care. They help me in so many ways. They help everybody at the center. The center has doctors. I worked as a holistic therapist for them for many years. So again, as you can see through what I'm explaining and sharing, there's a lot of things that I have been able to translate from experiences that I had in the past, and I'm bringing them into not only my work as an engineer, but also to my nonprofit organization, which now I have been doing it. We have been running this initiative started back in 2016 with my daughter, as I was explaining, and it has grown now into what it is now. So I'm very I'm very proud of that. Part of also now kind of like merging the organization into cybersecurity. So there's multiple ways that I do. I also go into the community. I'm all community based. Again, I'm always trying to translate new skills, old skills into back to the community, into like, for me, there's no such a thing as segmentation of skills. If a skill that I learned when I was a social worker is helping me to have better business meetings in cybersecurity, or is helping me to have a better understanding, better communication, I will use it. Maybe in this, I think in cybersecurity, it's very important to also see things holistically, which is, I guess, what my point is, when I'm explaining, or when I'm trying to say merging skills. But going back to my original thought, so part of what I do also in through my nonprofit in cybersecurity, I'm hosting right now, and I'm very grateful for Women in Cybersecurity, WISES. So WISES is the largest woman in cybersecurity organization in the world. Honestly, they have hundreds of chapters all around the world. And I was reading just a post yesterday, and I wish I could remember the exact number, but the number of individuals that are part of this organization is is mind blowing. So I'm very grateful and extremely honored that they invited me to be part of to be in the chapter, which is the Women in Cybersecurity Military Branch. So for them, Grace in Action, I'm hosting a group that is called Career Development and Mindfulness. So in that group, we support individuals that are looking to transition, whether they are coming again from a non-technical background into cybersecurity, or they are already in cybersecurity and are looking to switch careers, or not to switch careers. They're looking, just to kind of for any career change. Because another thing that I did is, again, because I was a technical recruiter before, I developed when it was my time for me now to get into cybersecurity, I genuinely thought, I'm going to be very honest with you, Sai, I thought I was going to have it way easier, because I said, okay, Natalie, how difficult it can be for you to land your first job in cybersecurity if you are a recruiter and you have a whole network of some of the most recognized recruiters in the world, which is from Amazon. And I have friends that were at Google, and I said, of course, it's going to be easy. I can, because I always say your network is your best ally when it comes to, when it comes to finding jobs, or in many ways, it's a great resource to have. And I had a very significant network. Little did I know that nobody that I knew worked in InfoSec. They were all recruiters for web development, as I was, but I knew them from other companies. So I guess we never really talked about what exactly they were doing. So when it was my time to get into the industry, obviously I reached out to many people. And as much as they wanted to help, because it's not like they didn't want to help, they did. Some of them tried, but I didn't get anything. So what I did, I said, unfortunately, at the time, I thought I had more time to look for a job, but I was incorrect. There was something very impactful, something very difficult happened in my life at the time, which forced me to start looking for a job way sooner than I expected. And I put my brain to work. I said, okay, Natalie, don't freak out. Just think, how are you going to do this? Because I was applying normally. Normally is, the regular process. I'm looking for a job and I'm just sending the resume. I was not getting any traction. That wasn't working for me. It was just not. So it took me 3.5 months to develop a method that was so successful that I landed my first job after I developed the method on how to land a job fast. At the time, I didn't know I was developing I didn't know I was developing something. I was just trying to help myself. I was trying not to give in to despair. So this method, after let's just call it a process. I just created this process. It got to the point where I started receiving 6 to 7 phone calls from recruiters a week and about 15 emails a week. And I said, oh my God, whatever I'm doing, it's working. So then after I calibrated the process enough, I realized that it might be something that I could share with someone else, and it might help them. So I was already, by the time 3 weeks after I finished the process and I said, okay, this is working, I landed 2 offers. Well, no, it was pretty much, I made it to 2 final interviews, and I accepted the first offer. And I was very impressed with the whole process and the feedback. So this is the method that I am now sharing with many people for the past 2.5 years. I'm doing it through the Women in Cybersecurity Military Branch Mindfulness and Career Development Group. So it has been my entire process, my entire career, how I got here into cybersecurity has been a beautiful journey. But it has been also, I will say, very intentional, because everything that I have learned in other industries and really is really coming into fruition, showing, again, the work through my nonprofit. And now I'm super grateful that this method that I created for myself is helping so many people. And I had no idea that was a process until I shared it. I started sharing it with others, and it worked for them too. So this is why now it's becoming more of like, okay, you know what, let's just put this into classes and people. So I also, again, because I have a background in mindfulness and holistic practices. Also in Ayurveda, I worked with 2 Ayurvedic doctors for a few years. So I learned just very basic, beautiful things of Ayurveda, which I'm being able to share whatever it is that I was taught. I will never say you're an Ayurvedic doc. Never. Oh my God, I respect this beautiful science so much. And I actually dislike when people claim. I'm like, come on, it takes so many years, and I respect this by no means. But it's also something that I share a lot during the class. So I try to bring mindfulness and career development hand to hand. Everything that I do in that class is really this balance between being very career focused, being very relevant with what we're doing, sharing techniques that I learned as a recruiter, while at the same time bringing mindfulness in many areas of our lives.
So in Grace in Action, it shows the emotional side of yours, and in doing cybersecurity work, it shows the logical thinking of yours. So how you are able to have both, and how you're
Oh my
balancing
God.
it?
I think that's a brilliant question, Sai. And I'm grateful you asked, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually explain it exactly, because I genuinely think it's just a mix that I have as a person. I'm extremely logical. If you come to me or anyone comes to me, again, because as a family support worker, you are constantly working with people that the only reason you're there is to be able to provide solutions. So you have to be, in my opinion, someone needs to be very logical, very, very grounded, because you're coming into someone's life, and your goal as a family support worker or as a social worker is you have to go through the chaos of people's mind. And mostly it's a mental barrier, is what I really started realizing. Yes, they are huge individual. I mean, there was a myriad of chaos in people's life. But when I started really kind of like in a way, I always go back to dissecting. And when we have complex ideas in front of us, and you're a software developer, so you know this, right? When we have a big, for example, very complex set of code in front of us, the most logical thing is to start extracting little chunks of it so we can start working. And the same thing is in this domain. And when we have a very big problem in front of us, we need to start simplifying it in any way we can. So we have to start somewhere, because sometimes there is no beginning. So where do you start? When you come into a family, someone's life as a support system in a way, you have to sit down, and I always started with an assessment of who they are, what kind of traumas they went through, and what are the physical needs. Do they have enough food? Do they have enough, is the house warm enough for the babies? Like, is it clean? And then you start going into deeper issues with them, right? Like the trauma they carry, so many problems that they have because of lack of support, and just so in that sense, I spent so many years always with what can I do in a practical way to support this family. And it's a very difficult thing, because imagine you are working with one friend and you're really kind of trying to help this one friend, and you're like, oh my God, he's really going through something very difficult. I don't know what to do. Now imagine you have 60, 70, 100 of those friends that is coming just to you to say, hey, Say, I need you to please help me. And that is your job. Your job is to try to find practical solutions to very important problems that leads to people getting sick, people getting abused physically, mentally, and sexually. So, the problems are very impactful. They're real. So I think that really, I developed a very practical mindset working with people. People also taught me many things that I translate into business, right? Because when you actually can walk into someone's house and you started realizing that you actually can help. You're just not there to make more space. You actually can help. Then when you sit down in front of business leaders, or you sit down in front of managers, or even hiring managers to get a job, you don't shy away from any problem that comes up, because that's all you've been doing for the past 13 years is facing issues. So when I bring now into cybersecurity, I bring the same, I guess in a way, the same sentiment, or not even the sentiment, the same mentality. And it's, I'm here to help. So what is it that I need to solve? And I think my biggest struggle in cybersecurity, at least at the beginning, is, oh my God, I want to help, but I don't know how, because I need a specific skill. So what is the most logical thing to do? Go and train on that skills while you start trying to, again, try to provide some value to the company. So the balance between being logical and being emotional, I think is extremely important, because at the same time in cybersecurity, it's people, technology, and processes. And the people part of cybersecurity, in my opinion, is a huge topic that, although I do hear more and more about it, I think we need to emphasize how much of real threat there is by, for example, not being able to communicate properly among business leaders in a company. That all that miscommunication translate into poor management, that then goes back into poor decision making, that goes back into, okay, what is our security stack? And the security stack is always going to in a way translate the mentality and the decisions that have been made. The teams that we have, the interactions that they have, are they communicating properly? Is the blue team the red team? Do we have a red team? Perfect. Are they being able to communicate properly? No. Let's say it's a small company. They don't have a red team. They only have a blue team. Do we understand what processes should be implementing? So our team is both practical, but at the same time feels well enough to not be burned out, right? Because what I'm trying to say is, the human aspect of cybersecurity is what I see the most, maybe because of my own background. But then when I start going into these patterns and this chain of observation, and when I'm observing processes at a company, I'm wondering how much more value we could bring into the cybersecurity department. Let's just segregate it as, because security is not just a department, right? Security is a mindset that the entire company should have. But in my own opinion, in my own experience in cybersecurity, I see a huge disconnection when it comes to being able to even speak properly about what are some of the issues that we have. The simplicity is missing. See, there's so much technicality in people's jargon and people's lingo that it gets lost in translation when the individuals that need to make their decisions barely understand. Now, that's one part. but also, do we know how to communicate with each other? Do we know how to be emotional enough to be able to understand what our team needs? Because we're not just robots here. We cannot pretend that just because we have been, some of us have, all they know is technology. They, at 5 years old, they were already going through whatever gadgets, and they've been hacking from the age of 9, and now they're great bug bounties or threat hunters, whatever it is. They live, they breathe, everything is technology. That doesn't mean they don't have emotions. That doesn't mean that there's going to be times where they come to work, whether it's remotely or in person, where their own emotional state is not going to translate into poor efficiency. So when we go back and we really analyze, I feel like it's very important and we go back to leaders, and we're always kind of pointing fingers at the leaders. Yes and no. Obviously, there's a lot there's a lot of responsibility that falls on their shoulders. But I think it's important to really to just go back to basics and say, how about if the amount of time that we spend on thinking about how, for example, I guess let me say this in this way. I've sat through a significant amount of vendor meetings, right? And I've noticed that, a company is trying, for example, to overemphasize on technology, right? Okay, we should get these tools, we should get this tool, and the tools are getting more expensive and more expensive. But when you look at the network, there's so many flaws. Like, we have, in the most simplest way, the server is not properly patched, it's not properly secured. Like, nothing is really the way it's supposed to be at the basic level. The firewall rules are not properly configured. The basic AVs, the antivirus, some endpoints have it, some of them don't, and yet we're constantly focused on these big tools because we don't want to have the conversations. And if we do have the conversation, okay, you know what's going on? What happened within the team that there is all these holes that could be, in a way, all these issues that could be mitigated with better communication, with more awareness on the personal level, right? On the processes that are we creating for a team? Do they have the skills that are needed? If they don't, can we train them? Now, are we providing quality training? Do we have mental health days? Are we allowing these individuals to even breathe, or are they just coming over here burned out every single day, which is creating more and more issues? Which no wonder they're not patching everything, because we keep moving them. And it's also difficult not to expect a company to move 5,000 miles an hour. But if we don't go back and start looking at where really the issues are coming from, and we might not really see exactly where the issues are coming from. But what I have observed so far is that we are working so fast, and we're really overseeing the human aspect of technology, that I think if we were a little bit more aware of the human aspect of technology, we will literally start mitigating so many problems at the foundation level. So then we can start looking at all these big tools. Because what good is it for a company, for example, to get the most advanced EDR or XDR, right? The most advanced threat visualizer, if a hacker is always going to try to find the low-hanging fruit, the easiest way in. And yet we're looking at, we're having AI, everything AI powered, cool. But what about the amount of open doors that we have at the very basic level? And it could be literally what's going on with our security team. Like, and it's not just them. It's like, are we prioritizing the most basic aspects of security? I don't think we are, especially because also the language that many vendors speak is very impressive. You see, they kind of say, if you come with us, all your problems are going to be solved. All your network is going to, and we know that there's no such a thing as a fully protected company or network and stuff like that. But I hope I'm being able to make sense when it comes to why I highly believe that the human aspect of technology is, I would love to see a little bit more emphasis in it, because that's my observation. Again, my own background. I guess I'm a little bit more focused on the human aspects of things, but I love tech. I mean, I'm working constantly on, I really do love technology also, because when I was a child, I had severe issues I had a learning disability. And the only thing that would let me feel calm enough to actually ingest information and retain it was when a computer or a video was teaching me. And then that's how I realized, and I said, some people just feel more. I guess what I'm trying to say. I love computers because it allowed me to learn everything, not everything, but a big portion of what I know. And when I was a child, it brought comfort to me. Computers always brought comfort. So, but I love this balance. I love the balance. I love the combination that I have between social work and cybersecurity. Plus, I feel like technology in general is very pattern based, and in a way, my mind works that way. So, and people, people always say, "Oh, I'm very unique," and we are all unique in our own way. But there's many patterns that we're always going to find in people. So when you start recognizing patterns again, and it's also Ayurveda talks about that. So like I said, I bring everything as much as I can, as long as it's a cohesive and it helps me to understand a certain topic. I don't care where I'm pulling this skill from or this particular insight from. I'll use it. Sometimes I actually do the opposite. I bring technology concepts into my classes of Ayurveda, into my classes of mindfulness, because in a way, again, it might be my own mind. I'm not saying things are this way, but I find patterns and I find things that are very similar, and I just use them and I combine them just to be able to express a concept more clear or simplify something that people might not understand. To me, simplicity in communication in whatever domain is imperative.
And what is the intention to start Grace in Action, and what it is going to do?
So Grace in Action, I guess the intention is literally to help in every way we can. Again, because I come from pretty much the people that we support in Grace in Action. I was the same person. I was the same family, and I wish I had the support of. And I guess I could have had the support that Grace in Action gives to other families. I would have loved to have been supported by an organization that way. And I'm sure there were other organizations, but I didn't know about it. So one of the main goals of Grace in Action is to continue helping individuals. But let's just be honest. When we provide, the best way to help someone is to really teach them how to fish. Because before that, then we're just kind of, yes, we're helping them, but we're not really changing lives, right? Like, for example, if someone is hungry and I give them food, obviously it's such a kind thing to do. And I highly suggest people, please keep doing anything that you can to help others, whether it's through food, through support, even people like, I don't know, like emotional support or clothes. But the main goal and the biggest impact that I see for GIA, I call GIA Grace in Action. So for GIA, is to be able to skilled individuals that come from low-income communities. I am not focused on a particular background of individuals. For example, I'm Hispanic myself. That doesn't mean I'm focused only on Hispanics. If someone needs help, we provide the help. But the biggest thing that I see for us, and what I really would like us to, we're moving towards it with all the projects and everything that we're working on. So our biggest thing is to be able to skill individuals, meaning provide high value skills to individuals that cannot go to school, that cannot attend a 4-year college. So Grace in Action's long-term goal is to be able to provide training on software development, on cybersecurity, and related technologies in an accelerated way, but our focus is local. There's a lot of boot camps. And I love boot camps. Honestly, it's due to my circumstances. I would have loved to be able to go to the university because I love learning. I really do love learning. It's just, I don't know. I love it, but I was not able to. As much as I tried, I was back then, I was only able to make it to 2 years into college. I was not able to finish the 4 years for my bachelor's. So when I started learning about boot camps, I said, wait, there's other ways to gain skills. I couldn't believe it, honestly. And for me, it was a no-brainer. I did a research for like 8 months. Then I joined my first boot camp. It was very, 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 very low quality boot camp. I wouldn't say it was a good boot camp. I didn't have any labs. It didn't have like nothing. It was just, in a way, lectures. But it gave me a very basic understanding of technology, which I landed my first job ever in technology many years ago. And then from there, years later, I saved up enough money to go to a good boot camp. Because again, even like that, I didn't have childcare for my daughter. There was I had so much opposition for me to be able to go to school, to a university. So Grace in Action, through my own experience, I think bootcamp is an amazing way for someone in a very difficult situation. It's not easy though. Like the commitment that is needed for a bootcamp is incredible. It's intense. For example, the first time that I attended the bootcamp, the majority were Army individuals. And I'm sorry, let me drink a little because I'm getting. Thank you. So the majority were Army individuals, and I was the only woman in that boot camp. And I was like, I was having like a panic attack, and I said, oh my God, Natalie, what did you get into? This is crazy. I didn't even know the difference between software and hardware when my first day of school. That's how clueless I was about technology. I mean, I was coming from odd jobs. I was driving Uber. I was working for little stores. I was working as, I did everything I could just to be able to pay the rent and to keep feeding my daughter. So I had all sorts of odd jobs. But when I see my life now, my daughter goes to one of the best schools in the country. And I'm just so grateful and humbled to say how much my life has changed in the skills I have gained in technology, which makes me so proud too. It all goes back to boot camps. But boot camps only take you so far. Then you have to continue studying on your own, but you have a framework. So that's what Grace in Action wants to do for a lot of people. The same thing that was done in my life through boot camps, but the boot camps that I paid were extremely expensive. And even though I decided back then, okay, you know what, I'm going to get these loans. I was able to get loans. So I went and I got these loans and I paid all these boot camps that allow me to get into, to just have the basic skills to get into cybersecurity. So many individuals don't have the ability to get those loans either. I knew in my case, it was different. I said, okay, Natalie, you do have the ability to get loans, but the people you would love to help, they don't. So this is what Grace in Action wants to do. Grace in Action, but again, in a local focus. Although we're having communication, we have conversations with our board members and board of advisors and our individuals. We're looking at alternatives, but our main focus right now is to help individuals at a local level, meaning, the ones, pretty much the community I come from, the surrounding communities, which are some of the most underprivileged communities in the United States. And that's what I would love to do. I would love to be able to provide high level skills for individuals to change their lives. Because yes, it's beautiful to provide diapers and clothes and food, but you're not really teaching them how to fish. You see, you're not really bringing an income into their lives, and you're not bringing hope for a career growth. But when you do have skills that are very meaningful skills, then that's what you give people. And that's what Grace in Action really is moving towards. That's our main goal, really.
And
To just be able to provide meaningful change in people's life. Just again, because it's what has helped me. So I guess I was having a conversation with a politician that is supporting us. And he said, well, Natalie, you are the model. And I said, yes, I am. My life is the model of what I want people to be able to have when they come to get Grace in Action. When they see me and say, how is it that you were so poor, you had days that you couldn't eat and you had to give your daughter to far relatives so they can feed her because you didn't have food to give her. Like my situation was very, very, very intense. But now it's totally different. Now I support, my God, I don't know how many people we have in the organization. Now we have over 50 individuals now. We're putting events now that are bringing 500 people, 600 people, and how is it that a single mom with no skills, with no support in the country, with no family was able to do that? Because it is possible. And that's why our slogan is, if we can, we should. Because it was one day my dad asked me, Nathali, why do you do this? Don't you have enough problems? Like, why is it that you keep helping people? Focus on you. Look at your situation. Right. He was in another country. And I remember like, out of nowhere, I just answered it. And I said, Daddy, because if I can, then I should help. So when I was working on the website and they said, okay, what is your slogan? And I was like, if we can, we should. Because I remember the conversation with my dad. But yes, and I'm sorry I cut you off earlier, Sai.
So you gave the answer for my question. So how many individuals got benefit being in Grace
Throughout
in
the
Action?
years? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Throughout the years, many. I don't know, because at the beginning, so for the first 5 years, that it was not a nonprofit. Again, the nonprofit is just it's funny because people are now reacting to the nonprofit, but in reality, this has been happening for the past 7 or 8 years now. But it started with me and my daughter, right? Just every December, I will bother every single one in my life. So if you were one of my friends, I'll be like, say, hey, do you want to provide a toy or two for kids in need? So I will go into people that I knew and I will collect all sorts of toys, brand new toys, every single Christmas. And it started that way with providing toys. Obviously, Sophia, my daughter, sometimes she's so beautiful. This little girl, she will keep the toys brand new and will save them for months so she can have some of the toys for the kids. So I started that way. Then, of course, providing clothes, sometimes from our own closet, sometimes from people that will give it to us. But it really started 7 or 8, I'm terrible with the dates, 7 or 8 years ago. Now, in the past 2.5 years, it's been a non-profit organization. Now it's in. So now you're asking me from 7 years ago, how many people? I mean, many, and I'm grateful to say, because this is what you want to see in a program. You don't want to see families that are staying in the same program for 10 years, right? So many of the families are no longer in the program because they have found really good jobs. They are no longer in the community that we used to serve. They have moved to better communities. But I will say, I don't know, hundreds. Imagine 7 years, and I started now just recently what we're doing. Recently, no, I mean, for a significant amount of months now, we are partnering with other organizations that they have their own families, but they need extra support, because I think one of the problems that I have, and I'm very grateful to have that problem, is that I have more resources than what I can do with them. And if something bothers me, it's like, I don't want to not move these resources. I need to find people. So it's a very good problem to have, because that means I have more than I know what to do with. So I don't know exactly how many families or how many individuals exactly are being helped through the partnerships that I have now. But I think in a total number, I don't know what to say, but I can say hundreds of people right now that I'm aware, that I'm personally working directly with them, is over 50 people. But I'm working now with this nonprofit organization, and through them, I don't know how many families they have, because I'm just communicating with them for this big event. But it's a lot of people, and I'm really grateful. But again, my Grace in Action's biggest goal is to be able to be, to provide meaningful change. I do pride myself in the sense that, yes, we have been able to help many people, but I think until I really say someone's life was drastically changed because of grace in action, then I will really say I'm doing exactly what I was born to do. Because when I look at my own life, I sometimes think about how when I see the families, I always remind myself of the feelings I used to have back then, right? And say, man, I know how it feels to cry at night because you don't know if you're going to be able to pay the rent next week. I know what it feels to feel, why is my life this way? Why I don't have the opportunities that other people have? Why, to feel despair, to feel hopeless. And that's a horrible thing to feel. So if I can say Grace in Action now is providing high level skills that people come over here and they're finding great jobs and now they just took off from there. They have a big career. That's what I want to be able to say. And I'm very proud and super extremely grateful that beautiful individuals with great skills, great backgrounds are coming and joining forces with us and say, Nathali, let's make it happen. So I've been having meetings. I don't know, like had these 3 meetings just between today and Monday. And one of them was a three-hour meeting, just coordinating curriculums and all this stuff. So it's a very beautiful thing. Another thing that I started doing this year is I'm going to schools in low-income areas because I have been asked, hey, can you come to this school? And then I look at the school, I'm like, you guys all have a lot of money. I'm not going to that school. I'm going to low-income schools to talk to kids about cybersecurity, to explain how cool the industry is, what can they do to be more secure when they are surfing the web. But at the same time, I always sneak it in there. Consider this field. If you like technology, obviously, I always talk about both, to be honest. Software development. And although I don't have no background in software development, maybe the example I gave earlier gave it away. It's like, what? But what I'm saying is I always try to, because people have the wrong idea, especially, and I'm sorry about these, but tech people have sometimes the really wrong idea that the majority of people know about technology, at least here in the United States. I don't know about other countries, but when I go to these high schools, then I realize, oh my God, these kids are about to graduate and none of them were able to give me a concise or a simple answer about, can you tell me something about cybersecurity? And they're like, oh, I heard of it, but I'm not sure what it is. The majority of them. Now, when you go to schools that have more budget, they all know what cybersecurity is. So I don't focus on those. I go where the need is. So I think this also, I'm very excited about these, being able to talk to people and explain many aspects of cybersecurity, both on how to stay safe. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm focusing, because I'm trying to identify. I sometimes sit down and say, Nathali, I try to put my mind where the need is, both in my career and in social work. So through social work combined with cybersecurity. And I highly, highly encourage anyone watching this that is from cybersecurity, please try to do the same. There's many, many people. You don't have to do the same thing as me. But for example, right now, scams. Everybody's being attacked through scams, and everybody's receiving, I don't know how many phone calls and text messages and emails. But are we thinking about the older demographic? Are we thinking about the grandparents, the great-grandparents, the people that are, that they don't know much about technology and they're still receiving those messages. They're still receiving those phone calls. So I started going into communities, asking libraries, hey, I want to put a workshop for the elderly demographic, for older individuals. One, to teach them how to use their phone better, because many of them don't know how to use the basics of phones. And second, I want to tell them, hey, I want you to be aware when you receive a text message of these, this might be, what are some of the signs of a scam? Because right now, just recently, I've heard so many people, there's a scam going around that's really horrible about a little girl, or if you have a son or if you have a daughter. For me, it happened. I got this call and someone pretending to be my daughter. Supposedly she's in an accident and she's crying and she needs, again, it's always the same signs, right? urgency, threat. So I said, what about the people that are not aware of these things and fall for it? I fell for a scam like 15 years ago, and I actually left a job because of a scam. So I'm doing that too. I said, okay, those are needs. Are we identifying needs? There's so many of us want to do good for others, but there's so many ways to do it in technology. There's so many ways within your own domain. You don't have to go and be a social worker. So I started just asking libraries, can I put a workshop? She was so excited. This lady, she's been emailing me, okay, when are we going to do the second workshop? Because this is amazing. People really can benefit from it. So I have now 2 nonprofit organizations asking me the same thing. Can you put up a workshop here for us for the elderly demographics? And I'm also going to nonprofit organizations and teaching them how they can leverage ChatGPT for grant writing, how they can leverage ChatGPT for many things that they can do. There are so many ways to help others in technology that we just need to sit down and analyze, okay, what is it that we're not thinking about? And the same thing translate in a cybersecurity company or any company trying to be more secure. Are we taking the time to really think, where are the aspects, where is it that we're not really focusing that we should be a little bit more mindful of? Like you see, it's all about being aware, having the time to really say to ourselves, where can my skills be better utilized in any capacity that you want to help at your work, in your community. I guess that's really what I try to do all the time. With I put my brain to work, and say, what can I do to help, but that is meaningful, because I don't have time to do things that are not meaningful. I genuinely am very, very busy. So when I put my time onto something, for me, at least for me, it has to feel meaningful. And what better way than to really help someone not to get their bank account empty, or an elderly, there's so many types of scams. And there's so many things that we can be teaching at schools, that we could be teaching at libraries. And it's not that difficult. You just walking into a library and you ask, can I put a workshop? They're going to say, okay, you can just say, you don't have to say you're part of a nonprofit. You say, I'm a cybersecurity engineer, or I'm a software developer that I want to give back. There are so many ways. We just need to put ourselves out there, and people are so appreciative of that.
So there must be a strong reason for you to do this, whatever you're doing. It can be helping or supporting families, or it can be upskilling people, helping people to upskill themselves. So what is that reason which is driving you and which is making you to wake up in the morning every day and do this?
What is my reason? My goodness, I don't know. I think I have many reasons, but I will say, through my journey in my life as a woman, as a person, as a professional, as a mom, as a friend, as a daughter, has really taught me that, for example, I think the majority of individuals, especially in highly developed countries, they struggle a lot with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and so on, right? It's just really one of the major problems that we have, mostly in highly developed countries, everywhere, but I think it's more evident in these. When I go back into my earlier years, and when I used to struggle so much as a single mom, and I always felt like I had nothing to give. I don't have any skills. I remember and I'm just being super honest over here, but I remember saying to myself, I just want to be proud of myself. Even though people used to praise me all the time for being such a great mom, for just whatever little skills I had, although parenting, I think, is not a little skill. That is just a major thing. I always say to people too, do you want to give back? And you don't know, you don't have the time because probably you're a mom and you have 3 kids. Then the best way we can give back also to not our society, but to the world, is to just raise really great kids. So that's another way to give back, just to be fully focused. But to answer your question, my experience going through all these issues, it's a really bad feeling when you truly think that you're not good at anything, that you don't have any skills, that you don't have nothing to give, when you realize the simplest things about you as a person. Let's remove all the labels. Let's remove all the labels right now. Let's just focus. I am just a single mom. What can a single mom with no background almost on anything can give others? Well, that's how I started. I started by, I have an extra blazer. I have an extra tub. I have 5 apples that I know I'm not going to eat. Who can benefit from it? So the feeling that you get, I always say to people, I do this because I'm a selfish person. I love the feeling that I get when I help others. But the feeling it started really cementing in me, or just being reinforced in me, when I realized that the littlest action towards kindness was reaping so much. It was giving me such great, it was really helping my mental health. It was helping me to feel that this is a great way to live. It's a great way to live with the mindset of, what can I do to help? How can I be of service at all times? Because right now we live in a society where it's mostly like, oh, what can you do for me? Say, what can you do for me? Natalie, what can you do for me? Sophia, what can you do for me? When we should be asking more, what can I do to serve you? What can I do to serve you? Say, right now we're serving each other, right? I'm very grateful you contacted me, and I hope, this serves you in some way. So the reason that I do what I do is because it has really been a great path in life. I genuinely know some people choose religion, some people choose, and I've explored many religions in my life for the past 10 to 12 years. And nothing has really fulfilled me as much as community work, as helping others, of being of service. So I think it's that. I think I just found a path in my life that has helped me to really I have this little, I don't know how to call the little insects flying around. So anyway, it helped me with my mental health. It helped me with purpose. I felt like even if I didn't have any skills other than just being a mom and sometimes being able to talk to people, that was enough. Sometimes I realized that when you wanted to help someone, it's not so much that they needed the clothes, they needed mostly the time that you could offer just to listen to whatever they needed to say. Or you cooked, and this is how they also taught me the families. I had so many families that they had nothing to give, nothing, because they were so extremely poor. But I used to come inside their homes. Oh my God, this makes me emotional. And I will have, the first thing I would see is this amazing plate full of whatever they had in their fridge. And I felt so bad. I'm like, I cannot eat this. Obviously, I'm not saying it that way, but I knew that they were giving me maybe the last piece of chicken that they had. They were giving it to me because they felt grateful. But then the message they were sending to me is, you see, you always have something to give. So I will go and start sharing that. So by the way, I was vegetarian. I decided to try being vegetarian for a few years. But then when I started working as a family support worker, I realized that some people, some moms would not talk to you or not open their heart, because you need to really understand them. You need to get to the core of things. When you truly want to help people, you need to be vulnerable enough to just get connected to them, heart to heart conversations. But you cannot do that if the other person is not open to. And I realized that by eating their food, they'll be much more open. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to give up being vegetarian for the love of people, because I really wanted to feel connected to them, because I didn't have much people in my life either. So it worked for me in so many ways too, right? I feel like, I felt the love from many of these families into my life. I felt like my life had a lot of purpose. And as years started going by, I realized that it wasn't that difficult. Helping people is not that difficult. You just have to incorporate it as a lifestyle. If you just keep it as a task, then it's an extra task on your plate. Now, if you make it a lifestyle, it's just the way you are. It's just who you are. It's just the way things are. You put yourself in a place of service to others, and also goes back into your own career. You see, when I have teams and I'm part of a team, my mindset is always the same. What can I do to help? And I have been in situations where I truly felt at one point, you're not bringing value to this company now, because the company shifted quickly, and my skills were no longer relevant in the way it shifted. So what I did, I love the company very much, but I was honest with me, because I said, Natalie, you want to grow as a professional, but also it's not fair to stay at a place simply because they're paying you. I mean, how many individuals just stay for the paycheck? But that doesn't make us happy. So always asking ourselves, how can I be of service? It's always going to reap so many benefits in our lives. It might make us move. It might make us move, sometimes, and say, okay, I might be of more benefit here, or we can benefit each other, but always saying, how can I be of service? I think it has been a great thing in my life. And I don't know, I will say magically, because I don't know how the amount of turns in life got me to where I am now. But that has been one thing. How can I be of service? And in my career too. And I feel like that mentality has helped me so much to grow and to be more relevant to whatever position I'm in. How can I be of service? And sometimes that requires, okay, Natalie, you need to gain another skill. Can you do that? Yes. Are they going to support you? Sometimes your work supports you, sometimes it doesn't. But if you think that, for example, if I want to get into incident response and I am a cybersecurity engineer, how can I be of service? Well, I want to learn how to read logs properly. I want to be able to identify how a particular malicious tool look on a log. Do I know how to do that? Not really. Do I have people in my team that knows how to do that? No. Does the company need this skill? Yes, we need this skill so much. How can I be of service? Okay, let me go and look for a mentor on these. Let me go on Coursera. Let me take a course. The company is not paying for it, but it's also something I want for myself. I would love to see myself in incident response. So you see, how can I be of service? Instead of asking constantly, what is the company doing for me? It's no, what are we doing for each other?
So at last, what do you say about your service to my audience who are watching this and listening to you from anywhere on this planet?
So say that again, Say, I'm sorry. So what I can say to your audience about?
Yeah, what do you say about your service to the people who are watching and listening to you from anywhere on this planet?
Oh my God, I guess the same thing I've been saying through the whole conversation, and is, for example, I'm gonna start with the human aspect, right? If you feel that you're very depressed, that you're struggling with, very hard situations in your personal life, at work, always go back to simplicity. Always go back to something you can handle, you can control. Sometimes when we feel when we feel overwhelmed by life, I think it's important for us to focus on a few things that we can control. And sometimes it's the simplest thing. Let's just start, for example, go and get a manicure. Or if you're a gentleman, just, I don't know, do something that is only for you. Now, little by little, by focusing on the things that you can control, sometimes it's as simple as cleaning the dishes, cleaning your home. And if you don't find it in you to clean your home, I always say to people, again, I worked in many houses. And one thing that I noticed is when I would help a family to clean their home, or I will have some sort of support to have someone clean their house, the environment in the house changes too. So something that you can control is start by that. So sometimes it's just paying for someone to clean your environment around, because your environment is also what you're looking at, and it translates into even more overwhelm. It goes back to also Ayurveda teaches this too, right? It's also the environments, but that's one thing. Now, if you want to now kind of take it to the next level, even if you're overwhelmed, even if there's a lot going on, you're very, very busy, see how you can help. Find a cause that is close to your heart. Find a cause, for example, you love animals. Well, shelters and nonprofit organizations related to animal care are so underfunded. They need so much help. Just try to go and say, how can I help? And I highly suggest, if you can do it in person, do it in person. Because I've really, through the years I've been doing this, just asking someone, how can I help in person, it's sometimes it's almost an immediate yes. Yes, this is how you can help me. But emails, how many emails do we get a day? So many. So sometimes people, oh, I tried. I sent one email. I sent, for the first time that I started asking a nonprofit organization if they needed some help, oh my God, I think I sent that day 20 to 30 emails to different companies, different organizations, because I wanted to be a volunteer. And that's how I got to be a volunteer at the needle exchange program. But anyway, to just kind of make this simpler, ask yourself, what is it that you would like to help? In which capacity you would like to help, and go and do it. Sometimes you like kids. Maybe in some countries there's orphanages. You want to read to kids, or in technology. If you have a background in technology yourself, go to the schools, try to find schools that are low income and try to teach the kids. Because the beautiful thing about cybersecurity in specific also is that you don't need a degree to get in. So many of these kids, I don't know the situation in many countries, right? I have sometimes people from Kenya, people from Iran contacting me. Can you help me with my resume? That's another way that we can do it, right? We can help them. And I always say, okay, I need you to do your homework and tell me like, what are some of the things that are relevant in your country, and let's work on your resume. Or in your own country, just go to organizations, nonprofit organizations, if you know IT. Hey, can I help you? Maybe let me look at your firewall. Let me look at your I don't know, your hotspots, whatever it is that you can do. And I promise that is a beautiful way to help your mental health. And you can bring that knowledge or that notion of what can I do? How can I be of service into your work, into your own life? And you start prioritizing your self-care. How can I be of service to me today? And I think that's what I want to say. I really want to invite anyone to put yourself out there a little bit more, because it really helps us also to make friends, to meet people, to bring new experiences into our life once a month. You know, sometimes we have a lot of things going on. You can just go once a month to a center or to the library to have a workshop on investing or software development at a very basic level for underprivileged kids, or the basics of cybersecurity, or how to spot a scam, things like that. There's so many ways to help, but the most difficult part is to do it, to just bring yourself to do it. Once you do it, you realize how beautiful it felt and how much you enjoy doing it. And many times it keeps calling you back. It happens to many people. So that's what I would like to say.
So as a person who understands the human side, and also the person who understands the technology aspect, what is your observation about my work?
About your work, I think
Yeah.
you're a mediator. I think you're a mediator of greatness. You see, for me, people that put themselves in the middle, because you guys have to be, very neutral. Just try to bring, I will say, the best of each out of each interview, and then deliver it to the audience. I mean, this is what we need. And I love the fact, say, that you allowed individuals, because I think I posted this morning. I actually declined a podcast request because I wanted the podcast to be, and it's not like I want to control the podcast, obviously, but I asked because they say, Natalie, just the same, right? Natalie, you can give us suggestions. And all I said is I would like to be focused on the different aspects of technology that I bring to the table. At the same time, my background, pretty much what we're doing here. And no, they wanted to focus only on purple teaming and said, no, we really want to emphasize the purple team aspects. And to me, imagine if I only give a purple team talk, if I can share much more from the skills that I have learned. So your approach, in my opinion, is beautiful because you're not boxing people. You're not simply saying Natalie is simply purple teaming and that's it. That's all I want to show. No, it says who is Natalie, right? What is Grace in Action? How is Grace in Action helping others? So I think it's a beautiful thing what you do, and I hope you continue doing what you're doing. I hope your audience grows because I think you have a very natural way to see people, and I think we need to see people as people because we are not our careers. We're at the end of the day we are people, and it's important to see the humanity in us. And I'm very grateful that you allow me to do that today.
So, your feedback is extremely valuable for me. I'll save it for sure. I want you to say one more thing before ending this. I have interviewed more than 100 people who are into different parts of the world and who are into different professions and who are into different age groups and who are into different industries. So also people who worked in NASA, in space industry, in all the top technology companies I have interviewed in different levels. So me communicating with people globally and trying to know their experiences and trying to know how they are solving problems like you are helping so many people with the limited time that you have in your life. And you're a very busy person. And but still, I try to know more about you and tell to my audience about how you're making things possible. So like this, each and every person, I'm trying to collect the information and trying to put on one platform where people can able to connect and learn and get information from, and how you people can inspire the world and be the reason for the positivity in the on the planet. So how this experience is going to helpful for me in coming days in my career or as a human being. Like I said, I did masters in software engineering, also bachelors in computer science and engineering. Right now, I'm doing AWS Cloud DevOps engineering projects. So how this global community work that I'm doing is going to helpful for me.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't know. This is funny because just last night I was thinking about this, I guess what I'm going to say, but it's funny you're asking that. I was saying to myself, and I was tempted to post it, but then I was like, "Ah, you're already posting so much today, just stop." And it's like one of the most valuable things in my life, and this is also when I talk to other people, is the ability to speak cross-cultural communication. You see, you're speaking to people from all over the world, all over the world. That is a skill that I got to say to you that it's not easy to find. And not only communication. So for example, when you have interactions like this, you spent an hour and a half in an interview, you're really learning about the person. Because I remember the first message that you sent me, you said, I think you focus really on people from all over the world. That's your major focus is literally learning and bringing content from people that is from different backgrounds. And you said, oh, I was in Colombia when you messaged me. So when you spend time with people the way you do, it's so incredibly valuable when you then meet people in real life and they are, for example, they're from Colombia, they're from Italy, they're from friends, and you already have an idea because all of us carry our background in a way, right? Okay, the way I speak, the way I move my hands, like, okay, she's Latina, she's this. So, for me has been a great tool because through my social work, obviously I've worked with people from Egypt. I have worked with people from India, from Europe, I have Russian and Ukrainian. I have people from South America. Now, when I have had my meetings for my nonprofit, because I want to be able to talk to supporters, and these individuals are, very important individuals, and one of them is Indian, and one of them is from Italy. I already have a baseline that I can go with confidence, with some sort of confidence, and talk to them. For example, when my Indian friend talks about, I always say, "Oh, are you North Indian?" Oh my God. And I start talking about Punjab and I start talking about all these things. For my friend from Egypt, oh, okay, she's from Cairo. Oh my God, I have a friend. So first, it really takes away the fear sometimes that people have to speak to people that they don't know, right? Like, okay, I don't know their background, but also when it comes to meetings, when it comes to closing deals, say, because you might be in tech and, but, I think you can go many places with what you're doing. But the ability that you have to speak to people from all over the world is an ability that you're going to carry all throughout your entire life. That's going to open many doors because you're going to realize, and I'm sure you realize it now, and I'm sure I'm not saying you don't realize it, but based on your question, what I realize the most is how much those interactions with people from all over the world has really given me and I guess the skills show up, I will say innately. It shows up naturally when I'm talking to people from that particular background because I already spoken maybe once, maybe two times, but you speak constantly with many, many people. And I think that one thing that's going to be huge for you is your ability to speak cross-cultural in real life for your own projects, for your own career, for whatever you want to embark. Because in my case, I will say great success of Grace in Action when it comes to the back end, the business side and the business side of things, that it's different from the operational side and the business side, is the ability to talk to people and the ability to respect people's perspectives that sometimes are really embedded in their culture, in where they come from. But you naturally respect them because that's all you work. You work with people. You're a people's person, and now you work global. So you're in another level. I think this is going to be very impactful in your life, in all aspects of your life, in my opinion, because again, I was thinking about this last night, the exact same question. I said, wow, really it has been so, I said to myself, what a blessing it has been that I have worked with people from all over the world for over 13 years. So when I go to meetings, I'm never scared. Who am I going to encounter? Are they Russian? Are they from South America or Indian? It doesn't matter. I respect all the cultures I have worked with. And they all have given me something and I have given them something. Plus, I love learning about people. I have loved learning about life, about technology. So people are a great wealth of information, of knowledge. Imagine how much wealth you have with the work you do.
So one observation about your service that I want to say with the experience that I have talking with so many people, more than 500 plus people I have interviewed. So
Wow.
you are into technology. I interviewed all the technology people, but I can strongly say you are staying apart from like majority of the top level technologists in the world, I think, because not many technology people are so empathetic. Like you're doing service that are, that talks about emotion, that talks about, food, that talks about something which is not connected with the machine, which doesn't
Right.
connect with the software, or which is not at all connected with the technology. But the most of your life is so inspiring because not many technologists will listen to this kind of stories who came to technology and who is able to do both. But many
Yeah.
people I interviewed who are into, technology for 40 plus years, they communicating with machines so much, spending so much time with the machines, not with the people. They actually become machines. They are extremely logical. They don't even, I believe I understood that they've forgotten how to talk with human beings. So I think something is missing in them being in technology. But this experience that you have shared, that the service that you're doing definitely will open a lot of people's eyes, also hearts, and also
I hope so.
makes definitely this service that you're doing and that service that you're sharing with my people will definitely change so many people and will impact so many people. I believe so, because it's so pure, so honest, and it is
Oh,
coming directly.
thank you
It is.
so much. That's so sweet. Thank you. And I think to just add a little bit to what you're saying, I think the individuals, yes, that has spent most of their life, just focused on technology, they're still very much human, right? It's just that the only language they know how to speak, right? Imagine someone. I guess I can speak people's language the way I'm speaking it because it's been 13, almost 14 years now, just mostly focused on people. Now I am coming into technology, which I always loved, mostly because of the challenges I had as a child. So the computer was like this great comfort. It didn't make me nervous. It didn't make me anxious. It didn't make me not want to learn. Every teacher made me so extremely anxious. But a computer did it now. I can imagine how people that are very introverted, because the funny thing is I'm highly introverted. Like, I don't know how many times my neighbor has seen me because, I spent a lot of time just doing my own things. But I guess it's important, yes. And I think this is why I'm emphasizing the human aspect in cybersecurity, because I think many individuals are very much aware of that it's difficult for them to speak to people, to connect to people. But it's important to do it. So I really do hope that it's not a fault of them. It's just an awareness. You see, this is an industry that is purely about, it has been mostly historically purely about technology, but it's shifting quickly. Technology is shifting to be more, we need more people with people skills, because it's translated into big flaws that we cannot afford. We cannot afford the amount of cyber attacks that are happening, and we just go back into what are the sources. Sometimes it's just human error, many times human error that could have been mitigated with better communication, better culture at a company too. So I really do hope exactly what you said, that you and I right now, we're being able to inspire people to be a little bit more empathetic. I think that's a beautiful word, and it's a word that I would love to see more in people in this domain, because it has been pretty, as beautiful as everything sounds, as I'm saying, it has been tough for me because I don't see the human aspect as much as I would like to see it. So people, when sometimes, they're too dry, they're too cutthroat sometimes when they communicate. And I said, it doesn't have to be that way. We're still humans. We're still, yes, we're talking about business. Yes, we're talking about machines. Yes, we're talking about very important things, but we're still humans. We shouldn't be, I don't like it when here in the industry among leaders, they sort of normalize speaking so dry to people, but they don't know what kind of challenge your employee is having that day or has been having. You don't know if the person is struggling with suicidal thoughts that week, or if someone in their family died. And then just because we have normalized such a dry way of communicating, we're literally adding to the problem that we have in companies culture wise. Now, when we don't have happy employees, the machines can only do so much, right? We have to oversee the machines. We still have to oversee them. And if we don't have the mental capacity, we're not grateful to be there. Just a little bit of kindness, a little bit of empathy goes a long way in technology too. Really, I do believe it. And now with the adoption of AI, I think we're going to see that. We're going to be forced in many ways to be more human because there's not going to be room for us to be the smartest person in the room wherever we go. And I think I'm really looking forward to that. Really just kind of in a way, technology now pushing us to be what technology cannot be. And it's more empathetic, more human, and just connect from, from people as people. So thank you so much, Say. I mean, I don't know, whatever you said about me today is very beautiful, and I take it. I really take everything you said. Very grateful.
And one last thing I want to say,
No, of
before
course, of course.
closing
And I'm
it.
sorry if I sounded like we're ending. No, no, no.
So I think you're an expert who can help in building AI products or AI services, because it's very important for a technologist who are working in AI to understand the human aspect as well. I think not many technologists that I interviewed or that I know that who are already working in AI and who are in different top level companies have this human aspect, like that happens, that people can understand only if they be with people who can understand people and who can do service to the people. I think you are if if you get a chance, or you
I would
have
love
that.
to. Oh my God. And honestly, that's like in my wildest dream, I am very, very much involved in AI. Like when I really put myself to dream and I say, Natalie, oh my God, I love AI, and I'm not here trying to say that I know artificial intelligence or ML. Like I love reading about it, and the more I read about it, and maybe I'm influenced by some of the authors, but they always emphasize in how much AI is at the end of the day is going to make us more human. Of course, there's multiple perspectives, right? There is the doomsday perspective that AI is going to be the end of the world and is going to, like, there's many perspectives. But at the end of the day, yes, I would love to see myself involved in AI in some capacity. But at the end of the day, we can all be involved in AI just by being more human. Because at the end of the day, I think that's my belief. We will have no choice other than to just go back to our humanity. The way we're seeing the advancement of this amazing technology, yes, and I'm excited for that.
Because to program the emotional thing, definitely a person who understands emotions well, like you, because the service that you have been explaining from the first minute, that those thoughts, those feelings that are coming directly from your heart, that really needs, an artificially intelligent machine to should have, because morals, ethics that we have as a
Yes.
humans, because you work in cybersecurity, you see a lot of attacks. Humans go doing negativity and giving you the work to protecting you. You are being the
Yes,
protector.
yes. The more damage they do, the more work we have.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm
But
just
thank you.
expecting.
Yeah, it's something that I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm reading a book right now, the second book of Kai-Fu Lee. It's AI. I forgot it, but anyway, it's an amazing book, and he's touching on that subject in the chapter that I'm in. So I'm excited. Exactly what you're saying. He's talking about. I'm like, oh my God, I need to finish that chapter today.
So it
So
will come
thank you.
out, and I'll share that book link in the description of this video, also on my website. Your work and your social links, also your website, the service that you're doing, and the community things, the groups, everything will be on my website. People who visits my website can able to see the work that you're doing, and can see the web links, and can see what contribution you're doing to the planet in different forms and with your different ideas.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yes, of course.
And also, can I put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yes, of course. Yes, you can.
Thank you, Natalie, for giving me opportunity to ask you a few questions and telling and sharing your experience and telling about your service in detail, and making my audience to know what is important in life.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm very grateful for these. And yeah, I mean, you have my permission. Thank you so much for your work, for, because you're also doing these as a service, right? I mean, you didn't charge me. And this is a beautiful thing. So I'm very grateful for the way you think too, right? You consider that the human aspect is extremely important. And that to me, I am very grateful that I'm speaking to someone that think that way. So thank you.
So thank you again. Keep going, keep doing what you love.
Thank you. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.